Let me bring in Stel and we'll get to Vicario because I think he was very suspect on the first goal again. The second one, not. The first goal. And there's a compilation of him going around of his goalkeeping this year, which is very, very suspect. Stel, how are you? You good?
Yeah, good.
Good. Yeah, what do you make of it? What do you make of it yesterday?
I've actually got lots to say about this, loads. So
good job.
You're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna have to give me about 10 minutes here.
You're on the right show still.
Yeah. But listen, make notes rather than questioning me as I go along because I lose my train of thought on this. First of all, those out there who are saying Frank out, they're only doing it because they're either entertainers or comedians or they just want to get hysterical reactions online. Nobody that is saying Frank out is serious, in my opinion. You cannot be a serious football fan if you're saying Frank out when we're sixth in the league, still in the Champions League, still in the Carabao Cup, having played 8 league games, right? So either you're a joker, comedian, entertainer, or you just want to get some hysterical online traction. That's the first thing. That has to be said because there are people out there now saying Frank out. Yeah. The second thing is we do have an issue with quality players, there's no doubt. And people who were defending the Archie Grays, the Mateus Tells, the Richarlisons, the Solankis, the Odeberts, they are not good enough to be at this football club. We are a football club that has been used to Kane, Son, Ericsson, Modric, Ginola, Gaza, Gascoigne, Lineker, Freddie Canute, Jermaine Defoe, Dimitar Berbatov. I can go on and on and on. None of the players I mentioned, Odebert, Solanke, Richie Tell, Gray, are anywhere near that level. None of them. And we spent 250 million on them. We spent 50 million on Kudus. Imagine we spent 250 million divided by 50. That's 5 Kudus level players. Just think of the difference we would be right now on a technical level and on a playing level. So without a question of a doubt, I think fans now who try to defend them, generational this, generational that, be patient, give them time, blah, blah. I think they're all now slowly beginning to hide away, or they're realizing that they just jumped on a positive train of optimism on players that, quite frankly, should never have been signed by this football club. I'll give a little bit of grace, a little bit, to maybe Archie Gray on the basis that I think he needs a loan spell and then come back. But the rest, if they got sold tomorrow, I don't think any Spurs fan would give a shit. The third thing, I think our style of play is something that's slowly beginning to bother a lot of fans, and it's manifesting into some of the negativity that is being spread. And that is partly down to we haven't hired a manager who is renowned for style of play. Partly down because we don't have enough players who are quality enough to play at a level that would get us sitting on the edge of our seats. You know, when Kudus gets the ball, you think, oh my God, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? When any other player gets the ball, I'm not really sitting on the edge of my seat. So I think the style of play is playing into a poor atmosphere at the game. And plus, because our home record is so shit, the atmosphere at home is becoming quite boring. So all these things are manifesting as well into the game, because when it's 1-1, if you've got 62,000 fans cheering on the team, chanting, singing, making a real racket, we might get the team over the line, but we're not. We're sitting there and we're thinking, I don't know if we're going to win this. And I'm a bit bored actually watching this, and I don't really want to see Mateus Tell on the ball. So I think we've got an issue with the atmosphere, but I link it to the quality of players and the style of play. One of you guys mentioned that we need to change our tactics at home. I disagree. I think we need to change our tactics against good teams, because for me, when we play good teams, they double up on Kudus. It kills any wing play tactic that we put in place. And we're then left to what? We're then left to hoping that maybe a defender scores a goal or a defensive mid scores a goal. So I think when we play the good teams, and we can get into it later on, we should go one up top or two up top and don't worry about wing play and allow the fullbacks to be overlapping wide players if needed, only against the really good teams, because against Leeds, we didn't have a problem. Against Burnley, we didn't have a problem. Against essentially most of the teams we beat, we didn't really have an issue. It's the teams that are good, like the Bournemouths, the Aston Villas, we just look lost of ideas. So he needs to change it only against good teams. The last couple of points are, I think from now until the January window or until the summer, when we can bring in a lot more players, Frank should adapt our play in terms of how we play, not having this big emphasis on wide players because we've only got one good wide player. And maybe we become a bit of a Stoke City, a bit of a piece specialist team just for a short period of time because we don't have the quality to play the football that we want to see. And I don't think Frank's got the players to do what he's trying to do at the moment in half the games we play. Just until we bring in the quality to then say, right, you've now got the players, Frank. Show us what you got. I think what's happening, guys, is what's happened to every other previous manager at Spurs. They come in, there's a lot of positive energy. We all get behind the manager, give it a chance, be patient, yada, yada, yada. What's going to happen, and this is my big prediction, we're going to get to the summer, and this is the last point I'm going to make. We're going to get to the summer and Frank's going to realise he's at Tottenham Hotspur. What I mean by realise, he's now going to know what it means to be at a Big Six club with Champions League expectations and a fan base that wants to be entertained. It's going to really hit him. And he's going to sit there and he's going to look at the squad and say, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got to keep you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're absolute garbage. I need to get rid of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can work with you, but if the club had to sell you to bring in more players that are better, I'm open to you leaving. And he needs to sit down with Vinay, sit down with Paratici, sit down with Lange and say, I'm the manager. This is how I do it. You either do what I say now, or there's no point me being the manager, and he walks. Because if he doesn't have the cojones to have that chat in the summer, and mark my words, guys, it's going to hit Frank because it hits every manager at this club when they realise where they're at. Then we'll see what the board's about. Then we'll see what the recruitment team's about. And then we'll see whether Frank is a yes man or he's here and he's the real ticket. But from now until the end of the season, Frank just needs to use the players he's got slightly better against the better teams. Keep doing what he's doing against the weaker teams because it works. And in the summer, that's why I've always said Frank gets 1 year from me. He gets a year because in a year's time, he's going to have that conversation. And then we'll see what's what with the board and with Frank. Because the only manager that ever laid it down with the facts was Conte. And even he left. So I think in the summer, Frank needs to get real and say to this board, those 8 players, don't you dare let them go. Those 8 players, they're absolute garbage. Don't you dare keep them at this club. I've got no idea why you brought them in. And those 8, I can work with them. But if you need to sell them to get me better players, I'm open to that as well. And that conversation must be had in the summer. Otherwise, if it's not had, Frank will be gone in a year's time, 2 years' time, because the fans will turn on him. If he has that conversation, let's see where we go. Because I think that's where it's heading slowly. Because we've got a very tough run coming up now. And it's a tricky path to navigate when you actually are honest about the quality of this squad, which is, let's be honest, it's an average squad. That's my take on it. And I think yesterday is a fine example of everything I've just said.
Do you know what? I don't disagree with any of that. I don't. I think you're absolutely right. I feel like we've got far too many players that should be nowhere near this football club still. And what's more concerning for me is we've got far too many fans that think they should be. The same fans that think these players should be at the club are the same fans that get annoyed that we're not higher up the table, and that's where it just absolutely makes me laugh, mate. Right? We've got. I mean, I'm watching the game, and I'll bring this up right now. I want to talk about our front players, guys. I can't remember. You're all of age enough. I'm sure Manny's younger than us, but
I'm not that young.
You look young. You take it. Take the compliment. Take the compliment.
Take it, Manny. Take it. Take
it, man. I think this is the worst set of wingers stroke forwards I can remember for certainly 2 decades, maybe 3. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't had any bad players in those 2 or 3 decades, but I can't remember as a collective, if that makes sense, guys. I can't remember as a collective looking around all of our wingers and strikers and going, the only one I want to see play is Kudus. I think Johnson is absolutely dreadful. Richarlison is one of the worst strikers I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt. I don't care what Sean says. We'll have this next week when Sean's on. Tell an Odegaard, I'm sorry. No matter how much you guys keep telling me that he did this off the ball, these guys are not good enough, right? Mawani, I have no idea because we've seen about 20 minutes of him in 3 months. Guys, that's my big issue. And I agree, we need to find different ways of playing. I agree. My worry is still when that ball gets into that final third, if Kudus isn't doing something, I don't have anyone that, like Stel said, 1, gets me off my seat, or 2, makes me think there's a goal. And I'll give you some examples just quickly. If you have a look yesterday, at what stage, and be honest with me, Stel, Manny, Lou, at what stage, whenever Tellen Odegaard got the ball, anywhere in and around that goal, 20 yards, 25 yards out, did you think this is going to be a goal? This is going to create a goal.
Okay, Sava, you know.
Did I think that?
I've got a bit of a view on this one with Odegaard. With Tell, I agree. I said it clearly last week when Tell scored his deflected goal, and a couple of you guys said, "Yeah, there you go, making an issue that's deflected." I said, "All right, let's see what he does against Villa." He's shit. Mateus Tell should not be at this football club, and I confidently say that he's crap because I've seen enough from this guy to know he's not going to be the player that we want. Maybe at another club he can find his feet. Not at this club. This club isn't forgiving like that. With Odegaard, what I will say is this. He gave it a go yesterday, but there was no end product. Now, what I want to see is this. Thomas Frank takes Odegaard to one side, plays back a couple of passages of play and say, right, look in this moment here. Why couldn't you have done this? Why couldn't you have played it there? Why couldn't you fed in Simmons? Why couldn't you fed in the runner there? And then say to him, in training, I want to see you do that. And the next game you're going to start, I want to see you do that. That's coaching. And I want to see Frank do that with Odegaard. Like I said this previously, for a couple of months. So then we can see whether or not he can be developed and coached. If at that point it's still not working, then we've got to bin Odegaard. Now, if you said to me right now, if we could sell Odegaard and bring in Lookman, I'd say, yeah, do it. Because he's the finished article. With Tell, though, I honestly don't see us being able to develop him on the basis that strikers have killer instinct. Tell does not have the killer instinct. He can't even read the passage of the ball in flight. The ball came across the box. He misjudged the flight, didn't know what part of the body to hit it with, and he ended up missing the ball. Now, if Brennan Johnson was there or Richarlison, as much as they're crap as well, I think they score that goal. I think Johnson or Richarlison have got a, mind you though, Richarlison would probably miss it. Maybe Johnson would score it, but I don't think Tell can be developed as a forward. I don't. Whereas Odegaard, I'd like to give it a go just to see if it can be done.
But Stel, can I just quickly say, just before I bring the others in, my concern with this is I feel like, and I'm not saying you've suggested this, by the way, but I feel like whenever I'm talking about Tell and Odegaard, I feel like we're talking about that we're a youth Sunday league football team that are here to develop young footballers.
Yeah, I know.
This is the first team of Tottenham Hotspur, right?
I know.
What should be happening? Players like Odegaard, for me, should be developing and learning that out on loan, if anything. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want him signed. That he should not be at Tottenham Hotspur, right? As I sent you the stats yesterday, Stel, right? His stats at Spurs, I'm not saying stats are everything, but he's not got a single assist in a Spurs shirt, right? Now look at his previous 2-3 years as a pro footballer before that. He's got like 1 assist a season. This guy, if he was playing at any other Premier League club, no one's looking at him and going, that's who you need. But we make excuses every game. Oh, did you see that move he did? Did you see that pass he did? He hasn't got that instinct. He has not got that instinct.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
Play for Spurs.
We've got a lot of players at this club that shouldn't be here. I think, though, I'm just trying to see. The thing is, though, we have to find a solution until the next window, and we're not going to go and buy lots and lots of players in January. We need to find a solution to get us till May, because let's be honest, in the summer, that's when we're going to do most of our business. So we need to find a way around this until then. Otherwise, we're going to be doing this every week, aren't we? And if the home form doesn't pick up, mark my words, I know what our fans are like. If the home form doesn't pick up, they will turn against Frank. Mark my words, they will turn. I know what we're like. We do this to every single manager. He's got to find a way to at least get wins at home. Otherwise, fans will start booing, and then you'll hear the Frank out shit, and then here we go again.
Still, the problem you've got, just talking in terms of figures, take out call it 60,000 at home game. Take the 3,000 away support out. You've got 57,000 that go and watch Spurs at home and have watched the performances there this season. And you've got 3,000 of that support who are going away from home and seeing the exact opposite, where we're playing well and we're winning games away from home. So 95% of the fan base are watching the home games, and only 5% are seeing good performances away from home.
But Lubo, isn't it difficult though when you've got that level of player? Like if you actually look at yesterday, and by the way, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, Spurs were amazing. If you look at yesterday, you had the Johnson shot that he blazed over the bar. Odegaard, the pathetic little flick towards goal that hit Thiago's just scored for Brentford. That hit Konza on the chest. You've got Matisse Tell at the back post. You've got Tell and Odegaard in the first half getting into those spaces where you're like, lay it off or have a shot and it's weak or they don't pass it. All of a sudden, if you've got better forwards in those areas, Lubo, suddenly we're not talking about a bad home form. We're talking about being 3-0 up against Aston Villa.
Yeah, but Sava, away from home, the issue is, away from home, we are putting the ball in the net. At home, we're not. At home, other than Burnley, we scored 1 goal against Villarreal, no goals against Bournemouth, 1 goal against Villa. We are not scoring at home. I agree with you. Yet on the road, we are scoring. So there's got to be something that's not quite right at home. And I think it's because we're playing better teams at home. I think at home we've played better football teams.
Hang on. We've played Brighton and Man City away. I
mean, City's an anomaly, isn't it? Like every manager beats City. I don't know what it is. We've got a voodoo, some kind of curse over them.
I mean, they're still a good team. We've beaten Brighton. We've played Brighton and Man City away. West Ham we never ever beat away, and Leeds haven't lost at home for a year. My thing is with it still is in the away.
But West Ham are bottom 5, aren't they? I mean, they're not.
Yeah, but we isn't it funny how people use this to suit whatever their argument is, right? If we don't beat them, it's, well, we never beat them there. When we do beat them there, it's, yeah, but they're bottom 5.
No, I'm saying.
Let me get to my point of what I was saying. Let me get to my point of what I was saying. It was more about, in the away games, I think it's because we're reactionary, right? It's more on the counter-attack and it's reactionary. In the home games where we have a little bit more time and we have a bit more time on the ball to build up and actually have the ball in the final third, that's where I don't think we're very good still. It's, when you ask players to put their foot on the ball and passing movements and intricate phases of play, our players can't do that. We don't have that up front. In away games, you look how we've scored. Have a look at the two goals we got at Leeds. How'd they come about? One, ball played through immediately, first time shot from Tell, right? The goal from Kudus, hit the defender, Kudus run it, scored. None of the goals are nice 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pass movements, are they? Because our players can't play that way. They're not.
I don't.
Do you not agree?
No, I agree. The players aren't good enough. That's the first point I made. I said we don't have the quality players, but I also think that look. When I watch Spurs this season, when we play the better teams, it's clear that we seriously struggle. I know you mentioned Brighton. We went 2-0 down against Brighton. What was good about that was we came back. We came back in the game, but we were still 2-0 down. I just think when Spurs come up against a team that is in that top half of the table, and I think the same is going to happen when we play some good Champions League teams, I just think we come unstuck. And
I don't disagree with that.
And I think that's the issue we've got right now. And that is the biggest issue that's affecting our home form. We've played more good teams at home than average teams. The only average team we've played at home is Burnley and Doncaster. We beat them both. The good teams that have come to White Hart Lane, mate, they've either played us off the park or they've scraped to win like Villa did. So we need to change. We need to change the passage of play and the system against the good teams until Frank is backed.
The issue that I have is, right, so if you go back with regards to Odegaard, I do agree with you still, right, in the sense of if you take Odegaard and Tell, you would think that Odegaard has got, of the two, promising, right? He is technically sound. The only issue with him is maturity. In a better run club, Odegaard would not be your starting left winger. He would be learning off someone who is of much more better quality, right? And that's the issue we're having at the moment. He is not mature enough. He shows some promising signs, but he's inconsistent, which is what happens at that age, right? With regards to Tell, my issue with Tell is I had never seen Tell to be a striker. He doesn't strike me, pardon the pun. His qualities don't strike me as a striker, right? I've always seen him to be somewhat of a left winger. However, for whatever reason, both Ange and Frank have been playing him up front. So he's got the added issue of the fact that he doesn't have natural qualities in that position. So he's having to then also learn about positioning, learn about where to be, learn about what runs to make. That is an added issue, right? The worry that I have at the moment with Spurs, and I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that everything has changed at board level and, we're going to act like a proper club. The problem that I have from a Spurs perspective is that we've spent 73 million on these guys. 73 million. That's a 73 million investment. I don't think that they're just going to let them go like that. And no one is going to be paying 40 million for them. So that is where we are going to have
But Manny, no, it's not an issue. I'll tell you why. You're absolutely right in what you're saying, but I'll tell you why it's not an issue. This is what I said at the beginning. Frank, he will realise this. It's going to hit him hard. It hits every manager. It's whether he's got the balls to sit there and say, this is my rodeo. This is my team I'm building. Back me or sack me. I don't want Tell. I don't want Odegaard, whichever players he mentions, right? It could be, he might even say, I don't want Bentancur. Who knows? This is where Frank needs to lay down his authority and manage the football team. Because if he doesn't do that, I'm telling you, he's going to get eaten alive by this football club and he'll be another manager gone. The club have wasted money on players. They're wasting money on salaries. Frank has to clear it up, unfortunately. This is where I feel sorry for him. He's inheriting a problem, but he gets paid a lot of money, and part of that money surely is to clear it up. And if it means he's got to get, you know, a lot of people talk about diplomacy. You've got to do things in a diplomatic way, say it the right. Sometimes you just got to put your foot down, point your finger at someone, and say it as it is. And Frank's going to have to tell the board, you've wasted a lot of money at this club. I've come from a team that had Mbeumo and Wissa, and you're giving me Richarlison, Odobert and Tell. Are you having a laugh? Either you want to take this club forward or you want to be a playground for kids. Which way do you want it? And this is what I'm saying. Frank is going to have that conversation in the summer unless he really thinks he can develop these players. And if he can, then he's got to show it, right?
Can I ask, Stel? Sorry, by the way, I am going to eat a sandwich, people. Sorry, I've been streaming for like 5 hours straight, and if I don't eat, I'm thinking I'm going to collapse. I'm wasting away. I said this on last night's show, Stel, right? I think it's almost a sad indictment that Tottenham Hotspur have got a worse forward line than the club he's come from in Brentford. Like, that for me shows how bad we've been in the transfer market for many, many years. Right? Because Tell and Odobert don't get... I'm watching Brentford now, by the way, Stel. Right? I'm watching Brentford now with Thiago, Damsgaard, Sharda. Bearing in mind they've just lost Wissa and Mbeumo. They're better. They're better forwards than what we've got. How can that be that a small club like Brentford, with the second lowest wages in the Premier League, have managed to scout better forwards than Tottenham Hotspur? That is just, don't you think that's a sad indictment, Stel?
It's absolutely shocking what we're seeing at Tottenham. For the money we pay and the players we're watching, it's unacceptable. I went through a list of players. You can go back as far as Gordon Jury if you want, and Clive Allen, you know. There hasn't been a period in history where Spurs haven't at least had one or two really good forwards. Really good. We have nothing at the moment. This is the worst. But again, you know, a couple of people in the comments saying, how's Frank a yes man? Someone said Frank is a yes man. You know, no. He's not a yes man yet. He's not. In the summer, you've got to give him a year to understand what he's got, understand what he can and can't do with certain players, and he needs a year to be able to properly analyse the club as a whole to take it forward. This is why I've always said give him a year. In the summer, we'll find out what Frank is about. We'll also find out what Vinay's about and this new structure. You know,
the money wasted is sensational. Went through last night. When you look at the money that has been spent on Odobert, Tell, Richarlison, Solanke, Brennan Johnson, Archie Gray, like the money spent is just absolutely crazy for those 6 footballers. It's nearly 300 million or something for those 6 players. What are we doing? Adding Valise, adding Yang, what are we? Who has scouted these players? Who decided that these players were worth that much money? I'm shocked.
Savat, someone at the club has got to put their foot down and get a hold of it once and for all. Mm-hmm. And I think it has to come from the manager. I think the manager's the only one, unless you've got a real shit hot football director, like a top draw academy director who is, you know, back in the day. Listen, there were some really hot, top-notch people back in the day. Like, I remember David, I hate mentioning them, but David Dean at Arsenal was fantastic for that club. Yeah, he really was. You think of, who was the guy Alex Ferguson had above him?
Gill. You talk about Gill.
Yeah, Gill. Either we have someone like that in the club or the manager's got to do it.
Not can I say one thing?
Paratici might be that person now that Levy's gone, or maybe Paratici isn't that guy. I don't know.
He's got to be that guy still because he's in charge of first team recruitment now. So he's got to be him.
Well, the reason why I think it is imperative, right, is that So when I watch, the reason why I feel right, and you guys could tell me if you think I'm wrong with regards to this, that we are doing better away is because away from home, teams feel the need to come at us, right? And that leaves spaces in behind. We then hit them in transition, and we score, right? Is it just me? Am I hearing something here? Oh, you're muted, Sava.
Sorry, guys, it's me. It's there's fireworks outside because of Diwali.
Oh,
let me just mute the mic. Sorry.
Thinking someone been burgled.
I didn't realize I had such a big Asian community here, but we do. There you go.
A live Diwali fireworks show. Go on, mate.
Right. So I think, and when I look at us, right, and our style of play, whatever you want to call it, it reminds me slightly of, and I don't want people to kill me on this. When I used to watch Mourinho, right, I feel like I'm frozen. Am I frozen? When Mourinho came to the club, his philosophy was to make sure he was stable at the back, right? That's what he thought he was going to do. Be stable at the back, and then allow the front players to be free and create and score, right? The issue that Mourinho had was that we had rubbish people at the back, so it didn't work. With Frank, I look at him and I feel like he wants to play in transition, right? He wants to be stabilize that defense, be hard to score against, which you can see in the low number of goals that we've conceded, and then hit teams in transition, but allow the creative players up front to do what they need to do. Now, on the right-hand side, you've got Kudus and you've got Porro. So that can work. When you go on the left-hand side and up top, that's when the issue comes in. Agreed. So where I do agree with Stel is, with regards to the recruitment, is if that's how he wants to play, then everything makes or breaks by the quality that we have up top and on the left. And if we don't wants
to play or is forced to play, would he
that's
want
why
to
I don't
play
know. That's why I don't know.
Better technical players.
Of course, I'm not sure. Yeah, 100%. You can't at the moment, because the sample size is so small. I don't really know whether that's how he's being forced to play or whether that's how he wants to play. Like, I know people get on the back of Solanke, but in my opinion, Solanke is better than Richarlison, right? Kulu coming in would add something more. Maddison coming in adds something more. When these players come in and we actually have another transfer window, one is fit, that is when you start you're going to be able to decipher how Frank really wants to play, because he's really reluctant to play. Lubo was calling for 5 at the back. 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. He seems to be really reluctant to play that ever since we played PSG. And so I don't know whether he's tinkering. I don't know whether he is, I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that the quality, again, I keep saying, Audibert, I do see a little bit of quality there, but he's not mature enough to be consistent enough. He's not physically strong enough for the league yet, so he shouldn't be starting. And we've really got a problem in that on that left hand side and up top, because it's not working. And if we're going to expect Kudus to be doing everything, well, I don't know whether you guys saw, but he was knackered by the 75th minute against Villa. He couldn't do much. But imagine Kudus getting injured. Imagine Kudus getting injured. It's a problem, and we have to address it. I actually was the one who was saying on different platforms, right? I was saying, guys, listen, January is a tough transfer window, but actually I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking it's pertinent. We need at least 1 or 2 quality bodies on that left-hand side or up top.
Manny, do you know what I'd do? January, if Spurs are a big club, if Spurs have got anything about us, I would go out and make it happen. Whatever it costs, I'd get Ivan Toney on loan, and I'd get Fofana on the left wing. I truly believe, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's all we need, but in a January window, I truly believe if you went and got those two players, it could be Lookman, it could be Fofana.
Yeah,
I'm not
is that
pressing
Fofana
it,
from Lyon?
right? If you go and get those two players, it completely transforms the way Tottenham Hotspur play and attack and set up immediately. I don't think people appreciate enough just how much we are hamstrung with the left-hand side and the centre-forward area of the football pitch. This is 2/3 of our attack is absolutely non-existent, Manny. Now, people can go, but he does this. There's no goals and no assists coming from our striker and our left winger.
Yeah, it's a big issue. I think you made a point earlier, right? Which I think we went past, but we did at 1-0. Was it 1-0 or 1-1? We did get two transitions on the left, whereby one it was Odobert going through 1-on-1, right? And I was thinking, come on, kid, take him on. Cut it into your right, shoot. Went straight into the guy, into the defender. I can't remember whether it was Conta or someone else. And then Tel had the exact same situation, did the exact same thing. And I know people say flavor of the month, but I literally was thinking, and that's probably because I watch Ghana, every single time. But I was thinking, if that's Semenyo running at you, right, that's a goal. And that is a difference. Because then we go 2-1 up or we go 2-0 up, and it becomes difficult for Villa to come back. And that's the reason why I'm not going in too much on Frank, because I think that other than a few of my grabs, I genuinely do think that he is getting hamstrung by what is going on that left-hand side. It's genuinely terrifying sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, Lubo, what's... I think we desperately need a Tony, Lubo. I'm using Ivan Toney. I'm sure there'll be other names we put in. I think we've got to have the big, strong focal point. I think whether that's a Vlahovic, whether that's a Tony, we need to play into the guy. You know the guy, Lubo, that the centre-halves go, I've got to be on today because this guy's going to give me the battle. And this is what Richarlison doesn't give anyone a battle. He falls over the whole time, right? Mawani, we don't know. Johnson can't give anyone a battle. Matisse Tel doesn't give anyone a battle. We need that big guy that they're going, God, that's Ivan Toney. He's good on the floor. He's good in the air. He'll hold it up on his chest. Do you know what I mean? He's intelligent. We need that so badly, Lubo, and the left-sided player. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I think the sort of just touching on what Manny just said, difference, scoring goals. We scored 6 at home in 4 and 9 away in 4. You're right. Teams do come onto us when we're away from home. It does leave space behind. And that's the difference. We're taking advantage of teams leaving space behind them. And we're scoring. And we're winning games. And at home, unfortunately, I'm going to come back to it. I've just sent some stats. If you want to have a quick look at the WhatsApp and put them up, Sav.
Yeah, you've sent me a link that I can't put up.
Oh, sorry. Okay, difference.
Yeah.
Difference, where we are at home, it's not working. Whichever way you look at it, unfortunately, we're not. Teams are sitting back a lot more. Teams will play like the away team always. Most of them do, and they'll sit back and they'll close down the space. They won't give us the space behind for people like Kudus or Odobert to run into. So we've got to play through them. And we haven't got the players, unfortunately, apart from Kudus on the right, we haven't got the players to play through them. And what you've got, unfortunately, I'm seeing here Palhinha and Bentancur as a double pivot. When both play together, we create 26% less XT. We concede 31% more. We're down on XG. We play more directly. We have less possession, and we're less accurate in the final third. You'll see it on the WhatsApp group after the show.
I've seen it on the WhatsApp group, but can I ask, how is that relevant? Like yesterday, I asked this earlier. The Palhinha Bentancur, that didn't stop any of those forwards that absolutely fluffed their lines in front of goal.
I think we need something different, don't we?
That's where when people start using XG and XT and all this kind of stuff. That's not necessarily anything to do with Bentancur and Paulinho.
But do you
that
look
was
at
to
it?
do with Tell and Odegaard and Simmons and
Hang on. But do you look at it and do you think to yourself, okay, the away form is much better than the home form this season? We all agree. Not only are the form, the results, the performances are much, much better. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at it and we're thinking, great, he's setting up really well away from home. Mm-hmm. You're away from home, you're playing on the counter, you're playing that much deeper. Paulinho and Bentancur, they're your two. You're going to have a battle away from home. Like you had a battle, for me, we won the battle. Personally, I thought we won the midfield battle 10, 15 minutes after half-time. Now switch it up. Now go up a gear. Bring Sarr in with extra legs. Bring Bergvall in with extra legs.
But how does that change the XG? This is what I don't get. Because
these guys hopefully will create more themselves.
But they don't.
But the guys up front are not doing it. They're not doing it, sir.
Yeah, but Lubo, hang on.
You can't keep doing the same thing that's not working. You've got to change.
Sure. But give me an answer, because the funny thing is when people want to throw stats and data, I'm here for it. Mm-hmm. But show me the stats and data that show that Bergvall and Sarr create more.
Okay. Do you know, right, Lubo, I've got an alternative solution.
I'll answer that because stats and data were not involved when Bergvall came on against Wolves, and we were shocking. Bergvall came on, started pressing, started ball carrying, and started helping to get pressure going that ultimately ended in Paulinho's goal.
Hang on. We didn't create anything before that goal.
We had a lot of pressure. We had pressure.
No.
We had a lot more of the ball.
But you see what you're doing.
If you watch the game back,
what you're doing. But this is my problem when people want to use data like this. So you want to use the data because it proves you right for Paulinho and Bentancur. But when the data proves you wrong on Bergvall, we have to remove the data and use our eyes. My problem is this.
But it's not all about data. It's not all about data. That's my point.
Sure. If it's not all about data, then, as I said yesterday, us not scoring was nothing to do with Paulinho and Bentancur. Those two scored the goal between them, right? Those two scored the goal between them. Paulinho got the assist, Bentancur got the goal, right?
Correct. That's right.
Yesterday, how many times did Manny just said it there? How many times in that first half? How many times Tell and Odegaard on those left-hand channels and you're like, lay someone in, have a shot. That's got nothing to do with Paulinho and Bentancur.
Guys,
right?
Can I...
Hang on, let me finish. Brennan Johnson blazing one over the bar when he could have taken a touch and steadied himself. Nothing to do with Paulinho and Bentancur. We won that midfield battle. And the problem is, Lubo, when you're saying 15 minutes after half time, change it up. You now bring on Sarr or Bergvall, who are not as disciplined. We now lose the midfield battle.
I don't know. We're in the ascendancy anyway. Villa were dropping back at that stage.
We're in the ascendancy because we're winning the midfield battle and then giving it to the forwards. If you remove, this is the problem, right?
I'm sorry, I can't agree. Listen, we see things differently.
Can I finish the sentence, though? You can say you don't agree, but the problem here is, Lubo, right, is Aston Villa had a three-man midfield. You now we're winning that midfield battle, so we want to take off one of the main midfielders that is winning that battle and mopping up all the fires, and we want to put on Bergvall and Sarr, who are not attacking midfielders, and we think that helps us win the game. I've seen no evidence of this. This is now the go-to... Hang on. This is the go-to excuse for so many fans now. Paulinho and Bentancur don't work. Show me when Bergvall or Sarr has worked.
Well, it's certainly not working this season at home, is it? The results prove it.
Okay, so Sarr and Bergvall haven't played at all at home?
Lubo, can I say, I agree with you, but not with the players you're mentioning. This is what I think we should do. When we're at home, I think we should be a little bit braver. We don't need to be as, protective and, harder to beat in a defensive mindset, which we do away from home. I think at home, with the home fans there, we should be a little bit more courageous. And what I would do is, if you feel the game is there for the taking, right? If you can smell blood, I would do this. I'd go to a back three, and I've got no issue with Spence playing in the back three, by the way, because I think as a one-on-one defender, he's more than good enough. Just leave Paulinho as one holding mid. So 3 at the back, holding mid. And then I would invert Kudus into the 10 and Xavi Simons in the 10 with 2 up top. Big debate over the 2 up top. I personally would include Johnson as one of them, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why I would put Simons in that 10 with 2 up top, and use fullbacks as our wide play if we want to go wide. Xavi Simons at the moment isn't really clicking. When he was at Leipzig, he played in a 4-2-2-2, sorry, a 4-2-2-2, yeah, or a 4-4-2. So often he'd pick up the ball, drive forward, and then the pass he would make would be direct and forward, over the top or through the lines. Unless we've got 2 players up top, either inverting inwards into the striker position or making those runs, he hasn't got the players to feed. So the way he was played at RB Leipzig isn't the way we're playing now, which is why we're having an issue with Xavi Simons. So for me, if you play Kudus and Simons as 2 10s, and they can drift out wide if they have to, you've got 2 creative sparks. Just put the ball on the ground or over the top to someone that just strikes the ball, hit the target, let's hope it goes in, as opposed to being so focused on wide play, which we have none if Kudus is doubled up on. And that way, you don't need to play with 2 more defensive midfield type players like Bentancur and Paulinho, because you've got back 3 to protect the one that stays on the pitch. And I think that will give us a little bit more courageous play. But I'm not saying do this every single game. I'm saying try something like that.
Like that,
when
Stel?
you smell blood. No, I wouldn't have Sarr there. I'd have Paulinho instead of... Get rid of Sarr and put another player up top.
Get rid of Sarr and put another player up top?
Yeah.
So you want a one-man midfield?
No, Paulinho will be the defensive mid, and then Kudus and Simon will both be attacking mids, yeah.
Okay, so we're going more like that.
Yes. I think this suits Johnson better.
Wide open. Like, I feel like we just
I think
No, hold on, let's have this conversation. How would we get ripped wide open? Tell me.
Because look at the gap in midfield. Like, Paulinho can't imagine we did this yesterday versus Villa, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Aston Villa would have Kamara, McGinn, and Onana in midfield, and we're saying to Paulinho, mate, mark all 3 of them. Put out fires with all 3 of those big fuckers in midfield.
Yeah, but the point is, the point is that if those 3 in the midfield, but we've got the ball, we've pulled them out of their shape, which gives us more space to attack them with. Because now we've got 2. See, when you've got 2 strikers and 2 10s, they've got to think defensively. How do we deal with that? They have to drop a bit deeper. So effectively, we push them a bit further back. This suits Xavi Simons more than what we're doing with him right now, which is why I don't think we're getting the best out of him. And let's say those 3 in midfield for Aston Villa are all on Paulinho. Do you know what? Yeah, we are asking a lot of Paulinho, but that's why you've got 3 defenders behind him. So they can tuck in.
I don't disagree in theory. Where I disagree with this, see this. Can I show you what I would like to see? Right, if we were going to do this, I would like to see. I still think you've got to have the 2 men in midfield, and I'll tell you why. I think you've got to have the 2 men. Let's go to this. Right, let's go to 3-4-2-1. Right, I'll tell you the reason why I think you'd have to have that in there is because these guys you're asking Udogie and Porro to be your width, right? You're right. They're going to be going up there, right? They're going to be going up there, which means balls are going to be going in over the top teams will go down the line over those two, which means Van der Ven and Romero are going to have to go out wide. So these two are going to have to come in and help cover with Danso. I just feel like if you have the one, I think you're asking a hell of a lot. But what you do to play this formation, here's where I'll disagree with you still. To play this formation, it can't be Johnson. The guy that plays there has to be someone like that can hold up and bring these two into play. If that man up top is Brennan Johnson, what I think is going to happen, no, sod that. What I know will happen every time the ball goes into Johnson, you are going to lose the ball. It's going to bounce straight back because you've got to have someone up there that can hold on to it. If you're playing he's got to be able to hold on to it.
I've got no issue playing one up top or two up top, right? The formation I put forward is flexible. Change it to one up top. I'm cool with that. But I think as it stands now, holding up the play shouldn't be our focus. I think our focus should be is feeding in the ball to a striker that can go in on goal. And that's what we're not doing. How many times do you see a killer pass from our midfield? You're not seeing it. Partly because we don't have strikers
striker can't just be doing that in a game. Like any striker that plays up top on their own, I hear you. You got to be scoring goals as a striker, but in this formation, the striker's going to have to be able to bring Kudus and Simmons into the game. He's going to have to be able to hold the ball up, lay it off to Porro and Udogie who are going wide. And this is why
Kudus and Simmons, they bring the striker into the game by feeding them the balls. Because if you look at Xavi Simmons at RB Leipzig,
no outlet. You've got no outlet in this team still. If that's
your striker will be your outlets.
Yeah, but he can't be the outlet because he's got no first touch. He's not strong, and any centre half's going to take the ball off him like a candy from baby.
But, right? The through ball splits the defence though and puts the player through.
So we think it's going to be a through ball every time.
No. What I'm saying, Seva, hold on. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time. What I'm saying is this is a different approach that is worth trying because the current way we're doing it against the good teams doesn't work. This is where I agree with Lubo. If it doesn't work, we've got to change something.
I'm not doubting that bit. I'm not doubting that bit, Stel. But the thing is, this whole Brennan Johnson as a striker thing, it's almost as though none of you have seen his first touch. None of you have seen his ball control, his passing, his hold-up play. He's shit in the air and he's weak. If I'm a centre-half playing against this, I am loving life. If I am a centre-half and I'm up against Brennan Johnson, I am loving life.
The only way Brennan Johnson works as a striker.
Yeah, but hold on, guys. I put Brennan Johnson in a 2, not a 1.